Yes, your dentist can save your smile. Your Geico agent could save you money, which will make you use that smile a whole lot more. To find a Geico agent near you, visit geico.com/local.
It's so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? Look for the signs. Chances are they live in a home and have a car. They use money and enjoy having more of it. They probably drink lots of lemonade. Lemonade. And they probably said something suspicious like, "I'm bundling with Geico," or "Stop spying on me with those binoculars." If so, you may want to ask them how easy it was to bundle with Geico. Bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
Mondays. Just became Mondays. Mondays just got more exciting. Powerball now draws 3 days a week. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Play now.
Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
Come rain or shine. High winds or mild breezes. Blue skies or gray. It's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
This Moet Moment is brought to you by Golden State Warriors. What's going on, y'all? It's your girl, Sana G from the Sana G Morning Show. And we made the free iHeart app so you can listen to 106 KML everywhere you bring your phone. But there's so much more to discover inside the app, like the new podcast, Crazy in Love. Now, we all know falling in love is the best feeling in the world, right? So you see stars and you feel giddy, but sometimes it makes us do crazy things. Well, listen to the stories about what happens when true crime meets true love. Open the free iHeart app and search Crazy in Love to start your true crime binge today. iHeart, discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love.
393 represents thousands of construction workers in the plumbing, pipe fitting, and HVAC service technician fields throughout Santa Clara and San Benito counties. We offer the very best training in the industry to produce the most qualified, highly skilled, and certified workers available. Learn more at ualocal393.org. We've been building it right the first time for over 100 years. Come see why UA Local 393 is one of the most storied unions in California.
And parking at the Milpitas or Berryessa Transit Centers to connect to VTA Light Rail? Avoid the lines and pay in advance. Please go to vta.org/payparking to pay for daily permits. Or you can download the Passport app and pay at your convenience. Parking is only $3 a day. That's vta.org/payparking or download the Passport app for Android and Apple devices. Thanks for riding VTA.
But it's not just due to fresh air and fresh produce. The North Bay offers some of the finest health care available, thanks to the exceptional physicians and services offered through Marin Health. That includes highly specialized care typically available only at a large academic center. Marin Health formed in alliance with UCSF Health to provide sophisticated care for key services right in Marin. For pregnant women and newborns, with specialized services for those at high risk. For adults who need complex spine, brain, or orthopedic surgeries. And for kids of all ages, including expert care for pediatric diabetes. Plus, our Marin Health UCSF Health clinics provide top-notch primary and specialty care across the region. Marin Health and UCSF Health.
That's almost as old as Shreve.
Their functional complications are incredibly ingenious and easy to use.
You gotta love Swiss watchmakers.
IWC believes form follows function.
That's why they are pioneers of rare and exotic materials.
Like making watch cases from a combination of titanium and ceramics.
IWC watches are a marriage of old world craftsmanship
And new world high-tech.
Shreve at 150 Post.
And in Palo Alto at the Stanford Shopping Center.
Reno Tahoe's premier resort destination for all things gaming, dining, and entertainment. After all, fun is a 3-letter word spelled GSR.
Let's go. Touchdown! On KNB. The sports leader.
I mean, it's the same base. I mean, it's the same offense, a little more aggressive in the passing game, do a lot more dropbacks than they used to. Still the same run game and stuff like that, and still the same dropback pass game. Just, I think the amount of what they do and what they major in is a little different.
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C Sports. This is Charlton with Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to everybody who loves sports. It's all fair and love award. What a beautiful November the 15th, 2021. Grando Deportes Bondil Is it Bondo da Vinci or Bondo de Jour? I'm trying to learn some Spanish. Poquito Espanol. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by a test drive yours, just tell them Charlton wants that brand new Cadillac Escalade. Give us a praise. Give it just praise. Big C Sports Podcast also sponsored all around the world by 18 podcast applications all over the world. Last week we had 17. Now we have 18 podcast applications. That deserves some praise. Give that some praise. Beautiful weather in Northern California. Tonight's a big game with the Los Angeles. My goodness. They got two teams, and they got one stadium to share for two teams. But the Los Angeles Rams are at beautiful SoFi Stadium, and that's where they kick off. And also they share that same stadium with the Los Angeles Chargers. But now they're up here tonight at Levi Stadium in beautiful Northern California, San Francisco, to take on the San Francisco 49ers. It's a game that both teams really must win, but I say the 49ers need it more, and they'll probably get the upset win tonight. That's just my own thought. People might disagree with me, but I'm going to talk about that and a little bit more as we get ready to talk about some NFL football on the Big C Sports Podcast. I say, let's get ready to rumble! Really do appreciate bringing your Big C Sports Podcast on 18 podcast applications all around the world, from Google, Alexa, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, iHeart-Radio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and you got to give that some praise because I gotta take some time to catch my breath just a little bit. Man, there's gold in them there hills. That's what we always hear about people in San Francisco. There's gold in them there hills. Also, as I get back to where you can follow Big C Sports Podcast, number 11, Gio Savan, out of London, England, number 12, Podtail, 13, YouTube, on 14, Pod, it's called Hubhopper, 15, Stitcher Podcast, 16, Radio Online Podcast, number 17, Repod Podcast, and number 18 is Luminary Podcast. Give that some praise. Give that some praise. Man, it takes a long time saying that. Kind of out of breath just doing the introduction. I guess I gotta walk more than 1 mile a day. Gotta start picking up the paces. All fair and clever work. Really do love Big C Sports on a wonderful Monday. Just another manic Monday. Remember that song? But all you gotta do is say play Big C Sports Podcast. You're bound to see us someplace. Also on television, Big C Sports Podcast, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Really do appreciate bringing you a Big C Sports Podcast. Man, if I could just get in better shape, I love paying homage to my family legacy. On my mother's side, the matriarch of the family called her Mamo, Hattie Leach. She's a great person, saw that everyone stuck together through thick and thin. Really do appreciate that. My grandfather called him Pop, former Negro League baseball player, also known for making the best moonshine in the history of the universe. Very well known for saying, boy, get out of that barn. All fair and Leavenworth. Really do appreciate that as well. And then my grandmother called her Mud Deer. She was a seer, very savvy business person. Really did everything possible to keep the family strong through good and bad times. Really do appreciate that. Still appreciate her help to this day. And my grandfather Hezekiah, also a very savvy business person, keeping the family together. And my beautiful mom helped start a Head Start program in Northern California and helped win the Little League Championship of the universe. Give them all praise. Give them some praise, praise, praise. Really do appreciate that. Little League Championship, isn't that something? On my father's side, the matriarch of the family was my grandmother, called her Alberta Curry. She helped my grandfather start 2 churches in Oakland, California, and also built 2 service stations. They also built a church in Central California. Very savvy business person. Always made sure the family stuck together through thick and thin. And then my grandfather, Albert Curry, he was a pastor, along with my grandmother, started 2 churches, built the 3rd, and also had 2 service stations in Northern California. My father was retired United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, and made sure that the planes could fly high, but because he always made sure all the bolts that he took off, they were putting back on too. And my brother Todd with a bombastic voice, that's where I get my loud voice, and I say, let's get ready to rumble. Really do appreciate that. And I love saying welcome to the show, ESPY nominated Big C Sports Podcast. No scripts, no 3-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear, and also I love paying homage to my son, Malcolm, who helps me with a lot of NBA stats. He's all over it, always giving me something good that I can use for NBA basketball. And there's also DeMar DeRozan was called the worst free agent signing, but now he's leading Chicago in scoring as a third seed, and that comes from my son Malcolm. Like, hey, he's all over the NBA. Give that good old boy some praise. Thank you, Malcolm, for that. And then my daughter Daisy would help me set up for college events when college coaches would come to town in Northern California, really helped me get information on those college coaches so I could get that information set up for them. And then Big C with his wealth of knowledge, all the great things that happened for Big C Sports. Give it all some praise. Praise, praise. Really do appreciate that. As I say, always rise and shine no matter what you do. What a beautiful day in Northern California. Ready for some good action all over the world of sports. Have some college football that happened for you over the weekend. Also some NFL football that happened and some NBA as well. That's why I say I produce the show. I direct the topics. I do all the broadcasting, the sound effects. I do the commercials outside of what the agency does. I provide all the stats, the storytelling, touchdown, home run, three-point play. Oh, man, well, he's going all the way. You might got to be an old-time Oakland Raider fan to understand that one. All fan love and war. And then it's uploaded to now 18 podcast applications out of the agency in New York City. That deserves some praise. 18 podcast applications for one beautiful new, I guess you could call it the sports show that I love. I just love doing the Big C Sports podcast. It's loaded to 18 podcast applications. Started with one with Salem Media, now 18. In fact, Monday Night Football tonight over in San Francisco, Santa Clara, when we were at Salem Media, and they had, I believe, 140 stations. They were not doing Monday Night Football, but Big C Sports came on the scene, and then guess what? They started doing Monday Night Football. And then they tried to bring in some other guys, and it went away. It's all fair and level. I've been doing Big C Sports since September 12, 2015. Really appreciate that. One of the greatest verses in the Bible that I love paying homage to God. In Genesis 13:15 says, "For all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever." In the book of James, chapter 4, verse 2 said, "We have not because we ask not." So just ask and give God some praise when you ask. TD Jakes is not the only one that say, give us some praise. I'm going to say, put some money in the bucket, 800-772-8624. And what does TD Jakes say? I don't want anything that makes noise when you give me some love. 800-772-8624 is all fair and level. I really do appreciate everybody that follows Big C Sports all around the universe. I want to make sure that I always, no matter what's going on in life, I love paying homage to our military veterans. They really are experienced helping our military crisis hotline, Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help, and they really do need the help. Oftentimes people realize that veterans need love and they need help too, and sometimes they just don't get it because we're so busy saying thank you, our veterans, God bless our troops, and that's it. But if you know anyone going through issues, just like we cheer at a game, the crowd's getting hyped up in San Francisco tonight, Santa Clara. You got a Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Just pick up the phone. If you know anyone going through something, and it may be you, 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. You can definitely get some help for our veterans and their loved ones. Also, very happy to be affiliated with Valley Home Weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse TV of the formerly first place San Francisco Giants. All's fair in love and war. But I really want to say, when you reach out to them, just tell them Big C sent you. I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, let there be light. Open your cell phones and just say play Big C Sports Podcast. You'll see our apps pop up all over the world. And part of the real estate that I work with, the Big C team, looking to recruit all-star real estate agents and brokers to join our winning teams. You just want to be able to help people get back to work and put their property listings on TV. So very happy to be affiliated with Xfinity Comcast TV, Comcast, and then Effect TV all around the world, and really do appreciate that. I tell you, if you want to know more about real estate, you can go to valleyhomesweekly.com, thenationalrealestatepost.com. You can go to mortgagenewsdaily.com. If you want to find out about the FHA limits in different counties around the country, go to entp.hud.gov. If you want more information, call 800-772-8624. 8624 and just tell them that Big C sent you. You can find out more about real estate, all's fair in love and war. I also want to say for people that love the sports world, there's a lot of stuff to cover. People are betting. Don't bet what you can't afford to lose. Everybody says, hey, I got this winning deal. The guy who calls me says, hey, Charlton. In fact, he's called me, hey, Carlton. Hey, Carlton, I got this winning pick. I got the inside scoop on the game tonight, Carlton. Carlton, you got to call me back, Carlton. I got a can't miss for you, Carlton. I said, first, let me tell you what my real name is. It's all fair. But he got the winning scoop for Carlton for the 49ers in the Rams game tonight. Now, he did say that the 49ers are going to win, so maybe he's right. I said, look, I don't bet on sports, but I will announce what happened. I'm going to say the 49ers will beat the Rams tonight at Levi Stadium, San Francisco, Santa Clara. If I don't say that, they won't let me in. They won't let me in the building. It's all there. At level 1. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk more about some college football, some NFL football, and then also what's going on in the world of NBA is all fair and level war. In the words of the former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the number, actually 18 podcast network, 18 now. That's really impressive. Give that some praise, 18. 18, like Lionel Richie said, you can listen to Big C Sports all night long, all night, Big C Sports, all night long. It's all fair. Try to sing like Lionel Richie. Give that some praise. Come on, I don't sing like Lionel Richie, but you can follow Big C Sports all night long. You can do it all night long. Really do appreciate that. As I tell you, sports fans, I want to say thank you to Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on this game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, eat the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meats? Some people have said, wait a minute, Charlton. All right, the bookie called me Carlston. Hey, Carlston, I got a can't miss for you. See, people say, why do you say what's all them exotic meats? What's all those exotic meats? Shouldn't it be more, what are the exotic meats? Well, it's not for people who want to be prissy. If you're hungry, do you care what the meat's called? Just eat the meat. Just eat the meat. What a commercial. Just eat the meat. I'm going to start that new slogan. It's the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all those exotic meats? Just eat the meat. You know how I'm terrible to the kids? Just eat it and be happy what you get. You get what you get, don't throw a fit. Just eat the meat. It's all fair, level war. Rumor has it tastes better in your mouth than it does in your hand, the Big C burger. Just eat the meat. That's a new slogan. And I learned that right now. Just eat the meat. Quit asking all those questions. Just eat the meat. Oh, fair, level war. I tell you, there's a lot of good things that happen in the world of sports. And I know some NFL football is happening tonight in beautiful San Francisco, Santa Clara. And as the bookie, again, I don't bet money on sports. I might buy a lottery ticket. If they sponsor Big C Sports every now and then, I might buy a lottery ticket. But those guys that called me said, listen, Carlton, if you just give me a $200, I can guarantee you by the end of the night, you'll have $2,000. I'm like, really? How about you just front me the $200? It doesn't work that way, Carlton. All fair. That level word. It's so funny. But I did get some interesting news about tonight's game in San Francisco, Santa Clara. We know Von Miller's not playing. He's kind of getting warmed up for the playoff run that the Rams will make. And also, they have Odell Beckham Jr. probably going to see some playing time tonight. But for the sports makers, the Rams at 49ers. Now, it's closing odds. Point spread, the over-under and money line. We have Sean McVay for the Rams and Kyle Shanahan for the 49ers. There's gold in them there hills. That's another commercial that has been playing on 49er Network. There's gold in them there hills. I wonder if some people are going to get on that and say, there's not gold in them there hills. There is gold in those Sierra Nevada foothills. So either way, but when you think about it, dating back to their start in the NFL, and opposing coaches Shanahan and the 49ers have had success defeating McVay and the Rams. As the teams get set to face off for kickoff tonight at beautiful, man, it's a gorgeous stadium at Santa Clara. I still call it San Francisco, but it is Levi Stadium in San Francisco, Santa Clara. It's a much different look than the Candlestick Park. It's more of an open-end stadium where the wind can blow through. over at Candlestick. It was all in, closed in. But it's all fair and level more when you think about some of the players. Matthew Stafford is a big name for tonight's game. Newly acquired players, Von Miller from the Denver Broncos. Von Miller, 8-time Pro Bowler. Odell Beckham Jr., 3-time Pro Bowler. The Rams have pushed all of their chips into trying to make a run for the Super Bowl. And they're going all in, and the 49ers will have their first opportunity to knock off the Rams, their streaking Rams. But I'm telling you, Matthew Stafford looks good at quarterback, but he's never won a playoff game. But think about what some of the bookies are saying. The Rams at 49ers, Week 10. The point spread is the Rams are a 3.5-point favorite. You give the Rams a 3.5-point favorite, well, they should be a 3.5-point favorite because they have a really good team. Okay? But not so fast, my friend. Why are they a 3.5-point favorite and the 49ers they gave up 31 points to the Cardinals last week. And prior to that, they haven't won a game in a long time. They have not won a game at Levi Stadium this year. I think they're 1-11 in the last 12 games at Levi Stadium this year. That's not good for the 49ers. But the bookie says tonight is going to change because there's a lot of stuff going on. But give the bookie some praise. We don't know yet. Give them some praise. There's a lot of stuff going on in gambling where who would have thought that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would have lost a game to the Washington football team. The bookies had it. All fair and level war, so they're saying San Francisco's going to win in that. I don't know, I don't bet, but I will tell you, the over-under is 50. The over-under is 50. Now, the Rams just got beat down at home. I won't say beat down, but they lost their game at home at SoFi Stadium to the Tennessee Titans without touchdown Derrick Henry. The 49ers, to a backup quarterback, Colt McCoy, they got beat 31-17. They were down 17-0 before you could even blink. And so they got too many turnovers. Kittle had a turnover and Ayuk had a turnover, and that cost the 49ers greatly. If they don't turn the ball over, the bookies feel they have a chance. And when you think about it, this is interesting. The Rams sit at 3.5-point favorites. Despite being on the road team in primetime setting, the Rams have been among the top offensive units in the NFL, while the 49ers they've kind of struggled to get together. I mean, just a consistent streak of consecutive possessions with Jimmy G. That's why they're saying Trey Lance should be the starting quarterback. They're probably going to move on from Jimmy G by next year. I think they moved 3 draft picks to get at Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. They got to get him in and let him get some practice in now. Don't start him new next year. That's just a thought. But the 49ers are 3-6. If they go to 3-7, what are you waiting on? So the 49ers, they got to find a way to get consistent first downs. Okay? But the odd makers decided that this game is less than a touchdown for one of the higher scoring teams in the NFL in the Rams. And the 49ers, think about it. They have wins on the road over Chicago, Detroit, and Philadelphia. Detroit got their first non-loss this weekend. That was a tie with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So how's the point total set at 50 points? Think about it. A threshold that each team they're scoring below the mid-20s. When you think about it, each of the last 4 games, the Rams have scored at least 28 points, including totals of 38 points twice in that span. While the point total might appear low, divisional games are typically played closer than perhaps the outside perception might indicate. Now, if you think about the 49ers when they played the Cardinals in Arizona a couple of weeks ago, they lost 17-10. And then they come back home to a team in Arizona that was averaging 30 points a game, and they gave up 31 points, and they lost 31-17. That same Arizona team went back home and lost to Carolina 31-10. So the NFL is up and down, and people who are betting a lot have a lot of Pepto-Bismol. But you think about it, that game kicks off at 5:15 p.m. I'm doing a little bit early podcast tonight. Kicks off at 5:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at Levi Stadium. Monday Night Football's here. And so some of the names, you think about it, is what Odell Beckham Jr.'s in the Rams debut will look like against the 49ers. And the reason they're going with the 49ers winning is their defense is not bad when their offense is not turning the ball over. I mean, they can give up the dong pass, but they're tough to run on at times. You just got to figure that out, too. The 49ers are going to have to win a scoring game. They probably got to score at least 28 points tonight to win. Will they? If they don't turn the ball over, they probably can. So it's about Odell Beckham Jr. and his debut. How involved would he be as a wide receiver with the Rams' debut against the Niners? When the Rams have the ball, think about it. They signed him to get him the ball, not to have him stand up on the sideline and watch the game. It was through a luxury of receivers that they had, but we know they have an injury now. But they gotta figure out what they're gonna do with Odell Beckham Jr. He's expected to make the Rams debut tonight in San Francisco, Santa Clara. But after days of not being able to work with his team, he had a short week to learn the system. So it's a lack of familiarity within the coach system of Sean McVay's offense. So what you're going to expect from him? A lot of catch and run. I don't think they're going to try to throw deep to him downfield. They may, but they're not on par yet with Stafford and Beckham Jr. But Beckham won't be thrust into the thick of things right off the bat. The fact he won't even start tonight's game, but they're going to get him in. Cooper Kupp's the guy. Van Jefferson, and it has been obviously the starter, but he's out for the season with the torn ACL. But it's all fair in love and war. Beckham's going to get his chances. He's going to learn how to be a blocking receiver as well. If he can do that, then that gives the Rams a chance to have some continuity in their offense. For the 49ers, it's all about Jimmy G. 3 steps and release. Find Kittle and 10-yard out passes. Ayuk, you got to find Ayuk. It's all fair in love and war, but they got to find a way to get the ball to their speedsters. Deebo Samuels is a good running back. When you run him as a running back, run him on some reverses. You don't just have to line him up on the outside and have him run 30-yard pass pads. Put him in the backfield, let him run the ball. Out of the backfield, that's what you need on the 49ers offense. They also have Elijah Mitchell has to get his hands on the ball. DeMichael Hasty has to get his hands on the ball. Trey Sermon has to get his hand on the ball. It's all fair and love and war. Trey Lance might even see some playing action. If you drafted him, you didn't draft him just to sit and watch the game. It's all fair and love and war. On the defensive side, for the Rams, we know Von Miller's not playing. We know that. So he's not going to be out there. He's not going to be a staple point. But when you think about it, on the other side of the ball for the Niners, you got to think about it. You got Fred Warner has to make some plays tonight for the 49ers defense. You also got to get Dre Kirkpatrick making some. Josh Norman, what's going to happen with him? I don't know what his situation is with this being on the team at all, if they want to play him. But Bosa, you got to get Nick Bosa to get after the quarterback. They got to pressure Bradford. He's a guy that likes to stand in the pocket and throw. But if you're rushing him off the edge, I think it's going to help the 49ers. Again, don't turn the ball over. And you have a chance to really get that upset win tonight. That's something that the odds makers are saying 3.5. Don't bite the mustard. 3.5 is not a lot for a team that scores a lot of points. It's all fair and level war. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk more about some NFL football as on college football. In the words of the former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all night long. Like the great Lionel Richie on 18 podcast applications all over the universe. Really do appreciate that. And then 4 TV applications. When we think about NFL football, again, beautiful San Francisco, Santa Clara, waiting for the Rams and the 49ers to kick off. It's a great environment in Levi Stadium. But over the weekend, we saw the Las Vegas Raiders. Man, they took it on the chin, got a really good whipping at home, 41-14 to the Kansas City Chiefs. Carolina Panthers went on the road with Cam Newton, the great Cam Newton, with a 34-10 win over the Arizona Cardinals. Again, no Kyler Murray, no Hopkins in the game, but still, that's a big game. Cam Newton, first 2 times touching the ball, ran for a touchdown, and also passed for a touchdown. Still took some criticism from people who said, why is he having so much fun? He said, I'm back. That's to a lot of people, mainstream media, that said he would never play again. And they were wrong. And he told them, I'm back. Either way, 15-yard penalty. And the coach said, hey, you keep scoring like that, we'll take it. But a lot of the athletes on the team love Cam Newton. I think it's going to be stellar for the Carolina Panthers. Philadelphia Eagles with a surprising 30-13 win over the Denver Broncos. Minnesota Vikings, as I predicted, a 27-20 win over the Chargers. I thought the Vikings had been in all of their games. Kirk Cousins been leading that offense okay. Not the greatest, but okay. They've been in every game, but turnovers has cost them. The Chargers, they're a good team, but they just simply have not learned how to close out. The Green Bay Packers, 17-0 over the Seattle Seahawks. That's the first time Russell Wilson's been shut out in his career. And then also Aaron Rodgers, I think it's only the second time in his career he's won a game by throwing no touchdown passes and had an interception. A little bit rusty, but he appreciates coming back after the COVID junk. What about the Cowboys? 43-3 over the Atlanta Falcons. It's hard to beat an NFL team by 40 points. 43-3, and the Cowboys look like they're the best team in football after being blown out last week by the Denver Broncos. So you never know. Buffalo Bills 45-17 over the New York Jets. Tennessee Titans 23-20 21 over New Orleans. Tennessee has a good-looking defense. And, no Jameis Winston for New Orleans, so they're kind of hurting as far as who their star quarterback's going to be. It's all fair and level. I think the game that surprised a lot of people, New England Patriots 45, Cleveland, this is for you, 7. So I guess Odell Beckham Jr. wasn't the problem in Cleveland. And I know Baker Mayfield had a little injury, but 45-7 against a team that was saying we got to get rid of one player because he disrupts the offense. So they got rid of Odell Beckham Jr. and they get beat 45-7. And they're trying to get Baker Mayfield $40 million for what? Indianapolis Colts 23, Jacksonville Jaguars 17. Jaguars playing a little bit better football. Detroit Lions 16-16 tied with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And obviously some quarterback issues with the Steelers. Big Ben Roethlisberger didn't play, and it's all fair and level war. Another shocker that they're saying we'll see the same kind of shocker tonight. Washington football team 29, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers 19. Tom Brady starting to look like he is 44 years old. And that's just a fact, even though they have some banged up players. Everybody's banged up. But going back to the Chiefs, touchdown Patrick Mahomes, seemingly had everything going for him this season. He was a high-flying quarterback. Everyone's saying he's going to get to 10 Super Bowls. It's all fair and level war. And then they had some hitches in their giddy-up. But when you think about Patrick Mahomes, he's solid. He had up to a 38-yard a jump ball, and running back Darrell Williams. Williams came down with it for a touchdown. I mean, Tommy Townsend, 16-yard fake punt pass. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce had great games. Mahomes had 5 touchdown passes, matched a season high of 406 yards, and season high as well. Could have had a lot more than that, but every now and then things don't go right. What's going on with the Raiders? Really, what's happened to them? They lost at New York, but they had John Gruden get fired. He's suing the NFL, or Roger Goodell. And then they went into Denver and had a big blowout win over Denver. They come back home, and they had the tragic happening with Henry Ruggs III, the tragic accident, speeding too fast, and then a fatality out of that. It's all just going downhill for Oakland, not Oakland, but the Las Vegas Raiders. They went to New York, they had a turnover game and lost to the Giants, and now they come back home. Carr didn't play that bad. He was 23 of 35, 261 yards and 2 touchdowns. Did have an interception, but did not play at the elite level that we've known him to be able to do. So it's all fair and level work, but think about this. The Raiders need to be successful. Of course, if they're going to get things turned around at beautiful Allegiant Stadium. The running game, 50 yards, just 50 yards on Sunday. The defense, 516 yards allowed. That's not good football. But again, they have a lot of stuff going on, and I know people got to realize that. Travis Kelce, he's still doing his thing. Had 8 catches, a game-high 119 yards. Has 781 receiving yards against the Raiders alone since 2018. That's the most of any NFL player against one team. And there was a time, Kelce had some turnovers last week also. But they're a good team, and they show that they're definitely a good team. Christian McCaffrey returned to dominant form, his second game back since an extended injury absence. And the Panthers, a star running back, looked much more explosive than he did even a week ago for their game against the New England Patriots. But he got to get back in the saddle. It takes time. And when you think about it, he had 161 total yards, 23 touches, he had 13 carries, 10 catches. So he put his hands on the ball a lot, 161 total yards. I think Matt Rule's challenge going forward is going to be the balance. How do you balance the run and the pass with that team? So it's all fair and level work, but you got to give that team some praise. Cam Newton came back, got in the end zone again. First 2 times he touched the ball, a touchdown run and a touchdown pass. P.J. Walker also played well enough to give the Panthers coaching staff some confidence that he can remain in the mix short term, but I think Cam Newton's long term. He didn't have a lot of chance to work with their offense, but he'll get that back in the saddle. For the Cardinals, the offense was built around Kyler Murray, but he hasn't been healthy since their loss to the Green Bay Packers. So they got to find him to get ready. Colt McCoy, he's only won 9 games in his NFL starts, 9 wins. Think about that. It's all fair and level war. He was 22 of 26 passing, so he had a good game, but they're not the same. I mean, that Arizona team, I saw them in San Francisco just last week against the 49ers. They looked so good, and this time it looks like they were just out of their element, whatever it was. Maybe they took them lightly. And you also look at the game with the Philadelphia Eagles with a 30-13 win over the Denver Broncos. Jalen Hurts shined in the first half as the Eagles rolled out to a lead, or they soared to a lead, I should say. And it's also sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all those exotic meats? Last I heard, the Bronco and the Eagle are exotic meats. All fair in Level War. But that's a game, too, that people thought Denver, because they handled Dallas the week before, would win that game, at least by a touchdown. But Jalen Hurts had a good game against them. 15 of 20, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first 2 quarters, and he played probably his best ball. It's all fair and level where Devontae Smith was really good early getting open against Denver defensive backs. Had 4 catches, 66 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the first half. When you think about the Broncos, Vic Fangio's team, they don't really like Vic Fangio up in the Mile High City. One week they're good, next week they're not. Denver's offense never found traction, and they sputtered time and time again. This is the same team that blew out Dallas 30-16. But the big play was missing for them, and the Eagles really showed that they are an up-and-down team too, but they came in and they got to win. I want to take you to the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Chargers, 27-20. The Vikings got to win on the road. They came so close to beating the Baltimore Ravens on the road. They let that get away. Didn't let it get away against the Chargers. When you think about it, the Vikings, that's a team, they've been so close to their games of winning games that they've lost. But when you think about it, I have the Chargers covered 75 yards in 10 plays, finished drive with a 2-yard touchdown pass from Justin Herbert to Austin Eckler. And when you think about it, this is a team that looks so good that they could just win games. But something's happening with their confidence. When you think about Dalvin Cook sent a strong message, he had a good game. Try to stop us. They were going to run the ball against that Chargers defense, which is not very good against the run. I like the way Dalvin Cook runs the ball. You just got to give him plays. You got to give him enough touches. He's not Chuck Foreman, but he's faster. So I really like the Vikings' chances. Not probably making the playoffs, but they can knock some people off. It was just one of those weekends where you got the Vikings on the road, and they figured out how they should do it, and you just run the ball and you play defense. Now, I want to bring up something, because Sunday was a highlight for Minnesota's key playmakers. Justin Jefferson caught 9 passes, 143 yards, and also had a fantastic catch, but he did it in key situations. Adam Thielen had 5 catches, 65 yards. And then you think about Cooks, who carried the ball 24 times, 94 yards. Most running backs need to carry the ball at least 20 times. They gave him the rock 24 times, 94 yards. That's good. It keeps the ball moving. Kirk Cousins finished with 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, 109.5 passer rating. So the Vikings went into SoFi Stadium and they did their thing. So I appreciate how oftentimes it just gets down to the wire where you give teams praise for going on the road and getting the win against the Lightning Bolts. You know, when the Lightning's inside, sometimes you lose. All for an 11 war, but a big win nonetheless by the Minnesota Vikings. And what a win. Green Bay Packers moved to 8-2. 17-0 victory over the Seattle Seahawks that fall to 3-6. Seattle's not going to make the playoffs this year. You know, Aaron Jones sustained an MCL injury in the Packers win, so he'll be out a couple of weeks. Aaron Rodgers gets a bit misty upon the return to the field. You know, Ben, he lied, but he came out and said, yeah, he wasn't honest. He faced it. Now he plays football. He who was out saying cast the first stone. Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson struggled in their return. Both quarterbacks, they looked a little bit rusty. And again, they weren't really practicing with their team. Wilson with the broken finger. Rodgers with the COVID situation. The Seahawks quarterback completed just 20 of 40 passes, 161 yards, and 2 interceptions. And he also got sacked 3 times. Rodgers, he missed a week and a few days after COVID-19 test. But he also missed several passes behind targets at times. He was 23 of 37, 292 yards, and he had 1 interception. But it's all fair and level war. They're human. They're going to fight through things. The Packers will make the playoffs, and the Seahawks won't. DK Metcalf, the all-world, all-universe wide receiver, and Tyler Lockett, they had 5 catches on 16 targets, 49 yards. The Packers defense, they were stifling the Metcalf all day, and he was ejected after an altercation, so they really got inside of his head. Can't do that, but Seattle sees the writing on the wall. They're going to have to just try to rebuild for next year. But think about this stat. Russell Wilson went 0 for 7 with an interception on deep passes. but he just had his finger broken. So maybe he came back too soon. And this is where a coach like Pete Carroll has to say, I know you're the marquee guy for the team, but we got to sit you on the bench, and we just got to get you healthier. But sometimes if you don't have the ability to tell that to a player, then it can cost your team. I know he's Hall of Fame material, but you got to put the team first. And when you saw he didn't have it, that's when you say, hey, you're not ready yet. Dallas Cowboys, how about them Cowboys 43-3 over the Atlanta Falcons? The Cowboys moved to 7-2. The Falcons fall to 4-5. And I don't understand how the Falcons get 3 points. Matt Ryan's getting $155 million. I know people want to say, oh, Matt Ryan's playing, he's a great quarterback, etc. 3 points? And the Cowboys, they piled up a lot of points. I thought they were trying to pour it on at times, but the Cowboys were there Sunday after getting chewed out from Jerry Jones. The return of wide receiver Michael Gallup from injury to the bounce-back factor coming off an ugly beatdown by the Denver Broncos at home at AT&T Stadium. The Falcons have a soft defense, and they manifested to 43-3. 43-3. And they're playing NFL football players. Dak Prescott, more than enough time to throw against the NFL worst pass rush. The Cowboys have far too many offensive weapons for Atlanta to handle. The Falcons, I mean, think about it. A.J. Terrell is the only one man. For Prescott, he was a target piece. I really like the Dallas Cowboys. If they stay healthy and don't get too big-headed for those Cowboy hats, Dallas might end up in the Super Bowl down at SoFi Stadium. Again, we can say that about a lot of teams. But you win 40-3 in the NFL over a team that just beat the New Orleans Saints. That's saying something. But the Cowboys pulling the starters early. The Falcons have yet to allow a 300-yard passer this season. Only the Bills and Packers in Week 10 were able to make that same claim. Buffalo Bills, they bounced back in a big way, 45-17 over the New York Jets. They go to 6-3 on the season. The Jets fall to 2-7. The Bills consider last week's ugly 9-6 loss to the Jaguars. In effect, they had a wake-up call against Buffalo. Josh Allen, the good old boy from Fireball, Central California, certainly did not make everybody hit the snooze button. On Sunday, had that set. I think he had for 367 yards passing. He was 21 of 28 passing. He found his targets deep downfield. Touchdown. Stephon Diggs averaged 20 yards per catch. Had a long catch of 57 yards. Gabriel Davis averaged 35 yards with a long of 49 yards. It was all through the air for the Buffalo Bills, and they had a nice beat down of the Jets. The Jets quarterback Mike White, he was overwhelmed by that great Bills defense that went to sleep against Jacksonville a week earlier. But they came back home and got some of that home cooking, and they found a way to get things done. You think about with the season all but lost and rookie Zach Wilson nearing the end of his injury recovery, will it be the last that you see of White starting the season? Is it Joe Flacco time? Who knows? But Diggs had a field day against the Jets secondary. The star receiver, touchdown, Stephon Diggs, 8 passes, 162 yards, and the Jets didn't have any answer for him. Think about it. He's a touchdown maker, and they got it to him deep, and that's what the Bills needed to turn things around from that throw-up upset of a loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars the week before. Tennessee Titans, I'm telling you, had a win over the Saints. And these two teams, they go at it. One's in the AFC, one's in the NFC, but two Southern powers, and Tennessee with the big win over, not a big win, it was a close win over the New Orleans Saints. But think about how the Titans survive another heavyweight battle. AFC leading rusher hung on late to win their 6th game in the 5th game. Think about the 5th game in a row against playoff teams from a year ago. Tennessee took advantage of the Saints. A lot of mistakes, I think they had fumbled kickoffs to open the second half into a touchdown, take a 20-6 lead. Again, the Saints don't have Jameis Winston, so they're messing around with the quarterbacks who's going to play there. But the Titans' offense, without touchdown Derrick Henry, they still had 264 total yards, 66 on the ground. No Tennessee running back carried for a gain longer than 6 yards. Deontay Foreman, 2.7 yards per carry. Adrian touchdown Peterson, 2.6 yards per carry. And Jeremy McNichols, 1.8 yards. That's not good, but they still had enough to overcome the Saints. The Saints look lost without Alvin Kamara. That's why they lost, in my opinion. For the first 3 quarters, the Saints struggled to gain traction with their star running back, save for a couple of chunk gains by Trevor Siemian. It just shows they're not the same without Jameis Winston and Alvin Kamara. They have a good defense, but it's not enough. They need more than that to get over the hump. New England with a 45-7 beat down to the Cleveland Browns. They go to 6-4. Cleveland goes to 5-5. when you think about it, after the rout of the Browns, the Patriots should draw notice from the rest of the AFC. And they will, because Bill Belichick's a Jedi Knight of the coach. He has a great reputation of being able to strategize against quarterbacks. There's no way that you're going to get Baker Mayfield $40 million. No way at all. It's all fair in love and war. People get what they can get. But he was outperformed by a rookie quarterback. People can say what they want to say. New England emerged with an easy, convincing win. Captain perfect fashion Jacoby Myers, first career touchdown. And then Brian Hoyer outperformed both Cleveland quarterbacks, throwing for 85 yards and a touchdown on just 3 completions. The Patriots outclassed the Browns in coaching and in effort on Sunday. It's plain and simple. It has nothing to do with the fact that Cleveland lost Nick Chubb and the Browns had to go to know where they were going to be fighting an uphill battle. They were 11-play, 84-yard touchdown march to open the game. The Browns lacked the offensive willpower to do much more after that. They finished 217 total yards of offense. They were 1 of 11 on first downs. And I guess Odell Beckham Jr. was the problem? No. Baker Mayfield had another interception. The Patriots just overwhelmed them. They beat them up. The Patriots might not be a 38-point margin of victory over any team, but they did it over Cleveland. They got to make you wonder about what's going on with the mindset of Cleveland. And when you think about it, for Jones became the first Patriots rookie quarterback with 3 or more passing touchdowns in a game since the great touchdown Drew Bledsoe in 1993. And Jones was also the first Patriots rookie quarterback to throw 3 passing touchdowns and go without an interception in their franchise history. So he's been someone that is playing a lot better than I thought he would. I thought that they made a mistake by going with that young man, but Bill Belichick's a better coach than me. And thank good for the New England Patriots. They listen to Bill Belichick. They're all fair in level war, but that's a team. Don't be surprised if they're knocking on the door of the AFC East Championship. I know Buffalo's riding high right now, but the Patriots are riding dirty, if that makes sense to you. Indianapolis 23-17 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Indianapolis goes to 5-5. Jacksonville goes to 2-7. A little bit too close for comfort. The Colts, they squeaked by Jacksonville in a game they had led 17-0 after the 12 minutes of play. Jonathan Taylor started what's going to be a blowout. It looked like a 34-yard run in the game's first play. And then they just had enough to hold on to beat them. The Jags simply forced Carson Wentz to beat them in the second quarter. And the strategy worked. The Colts quarterback struggled. He was inaccurate. And Colin Kaepernick still can't get a job. Carson Wentz 22 of 34, 180 yards. 5.3 average. And he and Jared Goff are playing. And Colin Kaepernick can't even get a tryout. 5.3 yards per completion by Wentz. No touchdowns. I mean, it's all fair in love and war, but just Google it. Sometimes you just got to give people a chance to try out and try to make a difference on the team. The Colts had 10 QB hits and 3 sacks of Lawrence, who mustered 162 yards passing, and they won't even give Colin Kaepernick a chance. That's just crazy. But it's all fair in love and war. Sometimes they want you out, Detroit Lions 16, Pittsburgh Steelers 16. When Big Ben went down, that hurt them. The Lions go to no wins, 8 losses, 1 tie. The Steelers stand out. T.J. Watt suffers a hip injury. Rookie running back Najee Harris did not realize that you could tie, but got the tie. 16 in all. Football fans may hate it, bettors may hate it, but the weather was bad. Big Ben went down. Pittsburgh and Detroit finished combined 11 for 35 on third downs with 682 total yards of offense on 28 possessions. The Steelers' first and only trip to the Reds in the end zone came of a healthy 10-play, 83-yard drive, but they just didn't have a lot of firepower without Big Ben. It's all fair and level. Mason Rudolph not the answer. Mason Rudolph playing NFL football, and no team will even give Colin Kaepernick a chance. It's just crazy. It's just crazy in my opinion. Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, they had the ball as much as they could, but there's no energy in that game. The Steelers, I was disappointed, but again, no Big Ben, no win. That's a rhyme. No Big Ben, no win. The Lions' their run game made up for Goff. Jared Goff, a lot of critics have been on Jared Goff. Think about this. 14 to 25, 114 yards. 114 yards for an NFL quarterback. Out of Marin Catholic High School in Cal Berkeley. 114 yards. and he's a starting NFL quarterback. Doesn't make any sense. DeAndre Swift, 22 rushes, 82 yards versus Pittsburgh's stacked box for the most rushes against a stacked box since Adrian Peterson's 23 in Week 9 of 2017. I'm telling you, it's all fair in love and war. I would love to see Colin Kaepernick get a chance. Washington football team 29, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 19. Washington goes to 3-6. Tampa goes to 6-3. Tom Brady looked 44. Chase Young, my goodness, Chase Young appeared to have a torn ACL, loss for the year. Aaron's on the loss of the Bucs are a very dumb football team. Well, who's the coach? He's just trying to take deflection off of how Brady threw another interception, the pick six. I mean, you got to think about this team. They don't have everybody, but everybody's banged up. Tom Brady's first day back in the office wasn't his best, but he has 7 Super Bowl championships. But Brady began Tampa Bay's first game following his bye week, throwing interceptions on the Buccaneers' second and third possessions of the game, allowing Washington to score 10 points off of 2 turnovers. And the bookies in Las Vegas loved it. Brady eventually rediscovered what made him a great player. He completed 23 of 34 passes, 220 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the day. But a slow start, it cost them that game. And you can look at it any way you want to. It cost them the game, and they won't criticize him a lot because he's bought himself a lot of equity with 7 Super Bowl championships. Taylor Heineken completed 6 of 8 passes, 110 yards, and a touchdown. And Colin Kaepernick can't get it. Goff had 114 yards for the Lions. Heineken had 110 yards. And those are NFL quarterbacks. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's all fair and love and war, but I love bringing you NFL football. That's NFL football, what happened over the weekend. Big C's thoughts. Give them all praise. Give them all praise. It's all fair and love and war. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. In the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day on 18 podcast applications, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports Podcast. I really love so much about what's going on in sports. I know everybody has their own thoughts about football and the college football and who should be in the bowl championship series. Every team feels that they should be there, whether they are undefeated or whether they have 1 loss on the season. But there were some things that happened over the weekend that really showed up week 11 of college football. Pittsburgh with a win over there's a big win for them. Number 20 Pittsburgh, 30-23 over North Carolina. Cincinnati, 45-28 over South Florida. That's number 3 ranked right now, Cincinnati. Baylor with a 27-14 win over Oklahoma. Snaps Oklahoma 17-game win streak. Wisconsin, 35-7 over Northwestern. It was Alabama. They wrote a big check to New Mexico State, 59-3. And New Mexico State was happy after the loss when they realized the check did not bounce. I guess Nick Saban made sure it was covered by Aflac. Aflac re-endorsed all the guys for their pain and suffering for that game, 59-3. Michigan with a number 8 Michigan with a 21-17 victory over Penn State. Again, it was Alabama, number 2 ranked Alabama, 59-3 over New Mexico State. And then number 8 Michigan, 21-17 over Penn State, sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all those exotic meats, and a Wolverine and a Nittany Lion are exotic meats, if that makes sense to you. Houston with a 37-8 win over Temple. Houston's ranked number 17. That might be a challenge for Cincinnati coming up in the year. Utah, number 24 ranked. Utah, 38-29 over Arizona. Iowa, number 18 Iowa, 28-22 over Minnesota. It was number 22 Louisiana, 35-21 over Troy. Number 1 Georgia, they gave up more than 13 points for the first time. They blew up on Tennessee 41-17 in a big game down on the South. Number 1 Georgia. University of Texas San Antonio ranked number 15, 27-10 over Southern Miss. Ohio State 59, Purdue 31. Michigan State 40, Maryland 21. Texas A&M, they fall to Mississippi on the road 29-19. So much for them getting into the bowl series. Notre Dame 28-3 over Virginia. It was number 21 Arkansas 16-13 over LSU. I believe that game was the final overtime score. Wake Forest, number 13 in the country, 45-42 over North Carolina State. Number 9, Oklahoma State 63, TCU 17. Oklahoma State's most likely going to be the Big 12 champion. Number 23, San Diego State with a 23-21 close win over Nevada. And the number 4 ranked Oregon Ducks with a 38-24 win over the Washington State Cougars. That game is sponsored by the Big C Burgers. It's a tasty burger. And you know the drum roll, please. It's a it's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meats? Last I heard, they're both exotic meats, Cougars and Ducks. Cougars and Ducks, Cougars and Ducks. I think I want some Cougars and Ducks. All exotic meats. It's all fair and level. I really love college football, no matter who feels that their team deserves to be in the final rankings of college football. It's all going to be determined when we have these conference champions, and they're going to play each other, and it's the team that gets hot that night. It's not about the team that may be the best throughout the season. Like Oklahoma, they lost 1 game in 17 games, and now they're out of the bowl championship picture. That's just the way the ball bounces. So don't complain if you're not ranked number 1 or 2 right now, or 3 or 4. Just keep winning. You get a chance to write your own ticket. Now, I want to get into, as we're going to close out tonight, some NBA. Are you ready for the NBA basketball? Of course you are. NBA basketball is fantastic. The Warriors' 7-game win streak finally came to an end to the Charlotte. It's all fair and level, but tonight, Monday, November 15th, we have Boston. Game's already underway. Boston is at Cleveland, 4 o'clock p.m. tip-off East Coast time. Sacramento Kings at the Detroit Bad Boys. And the Kings right now, a little bit of heat on the wall. Maybe his father, Bill, should come in and coach the Sacramento Kings. Because right now there's a lot of heat on the Kings where they gave up that win. I think they had an 18-point lead over Oklahoma City Thunder and blew that lead. And the New Orleans Pelicans at Washington, also a 4 p.m. tip-off. Orlando is at Atlanta at 4:30 p.m. tip-off. That should be a good win for Atlanta. Indiana's at the New York. I love something about MSG, Madison Square Garden. The crowd's amazing. New York always gets a little bit overhyped, but Indiana's coming to town against the New York Knicks. Should be a great lively crowd on hand there for a Monday, 4:30 p.m. tip-off, East Coast time. Now, Denver is at Dallas. That should be a game. Luka Doncic versus Nikola Jokic. He'll be back off of his suspension. And then that's a 5 p.m. tip-off on NBA TV. Houston's at Memphis. Ja Morant should do his thing tonight. Phoenix, well, that's a 5 p.m. tip-off. Phoenix, the Suns are at Minnesota Timberwolves, 5 p.m. tip-off. Minnesota was riding a little bit high with that win over the Lakers at Staples Center a couple of days ago. Miami Heat, going to try to turn up the heat at the OK City Thunder, 5 p.m. tip-off. Toronto Raptors at the Portland Trail Blazers, 7 p.m. A little bit of a shaky organization in Portland. All the action turns to Staples Center tonight in the NBA. Chicago Bulls at the Los Angeles Lakers, still without LeBron James, NBA TV. That game tips off at 7:30 p.m. at Staples Center. All fair and level. Give it some praise. Give the NBA basketball some praise. Really love how people are getting all into what's going on with the NBA, and the Golden State Warriors is a great timeout. Love them. Love the way they play team basketball. It's all fair and level war. But to close out tonight's game with the San Francisco 49ers, a Monday night game, is on ESPN. And obviously you have the ESPN crew is out for Monday Night Football, beautiful Levi Stadium in San Francisco, Santa Clara. But the Rams at the 49ers, Week 10 closing out. I talked about it earlier. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan and the 49ers, they're 1-12. Actually 1-11 in the last 12 home games. He's under a lot of pressure to win in San Francisco. It just is. There's something about the moxie of a head coach. I know people say, hey, he got the chance to go to the Super Bowl, and that's right. They had a dominant defense. Things changed in the NFL. But I think for just my own observation, the 49ers need someone to get in your face kind of coach, like Jim Harbaugh was. I know they chased him out of town too, but he also went to a Super Bowl, and they nearly won that thing against Baltimore. And I think even with Mike Singletary, even going back to the days of Bill Walsh, they got in your face. They let you know they were just more alpha. I think Shanahan's, he's more cerebral, but he has a losing record as a coach. And I think because of the nepotism that goes on in sports, because of his father was a coach for the Denver Broncos, coached in the NFL, has 2 Super Bowls. So that helps a lot of men mainstream get jobs in the NFL. Well, maybe the record doesn't merit it, but you got to make the call. If they win tonight, I think the pressure goes away a little bit. But they gave up 3 draft picks to bring in Trey Lance. You didn't give up 3 draft picks to bring in a rookie quarterback and set him on the bench. If you're losing anyway, especially in front of the bang bang nine again, there's gold in dim their heels with the crowd. The 49er crowd, they are the 49er faithful. They're faithful to the Bay. They say that to make a little dig at the Raiders that went to Las Vegas. If your crowd's faithful to the Bay, you gotta show them that you trust your draft picks. If they win tonight with Jimmy G, stick with them. But if they don't win tonight with Jimmy G, you gotta go Trey Lance and let him get his growing pains this year, not at the beginning of next season, because your job will be on the line if that's the case. So I'm gonna go with the guy that said, "Hey, Carlton, I got a can't miss for you. I got a can't miss you." The Rams are down a receiver. They got a receiver, Odell Beckham Jr., that doesn't know all the plays. They got an 8-time Pro Bowler in Von Miller. He's not going to play tonight. I'm going, what? There is golden dim their heels. It's all fair and everywhere. So I'm going with the upset tonight, like the bookies out of Vegas told me. Now, if he's wrong, then he's wrong, because he said it, not me. But I do believe the 49ers will win tonight. It's just a feeling. I got a feeling. Or maybe I just need some Pepto-Bismol. It's all fair and everywhere. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. And he would always tell Ali, "You flow like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose?" Ali say, "I flow like a butterfly, I sting like a bee, because I eat so many Big C burgers, I'm always light on my feet. The Big C burgers make me light on my feet, that's why I'm pretty, I can't possibly be beat." Blame it on the Big C burgers, it's all fair. And level 1, my beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help. Because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. As we always tell you on every Big C Sports Show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.